I'd like to call to order the Utility Service Board for the City of Lawrence on this, the 11th day of June, 2019. 4 of our 5 members are present, so we do have a quorum. The minutes were sent to you by email. I would entertain a motion that we approve the minutes. Moved. Seconded.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Yes, sir.
I had one question about the minutes. And it was a matter with Mrs. Nello, the franchise owner of Rallies. Under the new business in the minutes, it was saying that I had suggested that she pay $500 plus her monthly bill, and that's not exactly what I said. I only asked for an adjustment. I mean, could she afford to pay an amount in addition to her monthly bill? And she responded that it was around $300. So we had more discussion, and eventually it was decided, and I'm in agreement with the decision that was made, that total would be $500, but I never said $500 plus her regular bill. That was not what I suggested. I had no idea what would be a fair amount for her to pay extra.
Yeah, I remember that. It was 500 as a
Total. It's the
Correct.
total.
Correct.
total.
And that's what we agreed on,
Yes.
but but the minutes said that I asked her for $500 plus. I didn't say that.
Okay. All right.
We'll have to read that. It needs to be
We will,
submitted,
Right.
right?
we will correct that.
Okay.
In the meantime, we will table. That's all right
That's fine.
with you?
Yes, sure.
The minutes until they can be reprinted and considered next meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that would be the proper procedure.
That's correct.
So,
We need to read.
I want to be clear that
motion.
I'm not suggesting that we change the agreement in any way. That's the way we came to that agreement. That's basically it.
right, just the minutes,
Right.
not the actual agreement or the motion.
Right.
But the,
However, we want to verify that the agreement reflects what we're saying here, which I believe that you explained the way that it was supposed to work and we all agreed to it, but can we just confirm that?
Yes.
She's already been in and signed her extension, so
Yes.
she's
everything's
okay
good.
with what we presented to her,
Okay,
okay?
perfect.
all right. We are then going to table the approval of the minutes until they can be corrected.
Okay.
Then we will consider those at the next meeting. Payment of claims. Claims were sent to you for review by email. I would entertain a motion that we approve the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion regarding the claims or any questions? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The claims are approved for payment. Report of the utility superintendent. Scott.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we have our Okra second public hearing tonight, for which we'll also we'll be getting our resolution adopted. It's basically just one of the formalities or the things we have to include in our application that so where we will we're saying yes, we're going to provide the matching funds for that grant. And then the only other thing I really have on the agenda is the approval of our 3 DRFs for our Phase 1 water system improvements projects. We have one for Wessler for engineering, one for Graves on the Rich Hart project, and then one for Glenroy on the Wellfield project. And so we met with the contractors out at Rich Hart this morning, and we're probably about 4 to 5 weeks out before the asphalt and all the final grading and all that is done. And then, but looking at scheduled meetings and vacation time, probably might be like the second week of August before we actually have the official grand opening, but we haven't actually set that date yet. So that's coming up soon. Yeah, I don't know if you've been by there, but it does not look the same with everything gone. All the old stuff is completely removed now, and so we're just basically waiting on, like I said, final grading and asphalt. So, and of course, Wellfield project's going well, and we're actually the July 9th meeting is probably going to be fairly busy, although much to Paul's chagrin, I will not be here. But at any rate, so we'll have, I think we have a bid opening scheduled for that night, and also, I think, a notice of award. We'll have a bid opening on the June 25th meeting as well. That'll be for the 47th Street and Rich Hart Water Main project. The July 9th bid opening will be for the Shadeland Way project. Meeting with Shrewsbury tomorrow to finalize everything on Franklin Road, so we should be pushing that one out the door to get, we just have to settle on the bid dates and everything on that one. And then also gonna be discussing, it looks like we've secured all the easements we need now for the Carroll Road water main job. And then the only thing remaining, I think is a couple easements on 62nd Street, so, well, I'll get caught up on where we're at with all that as well, so. Those things are moving along pretty well. Got a lot of work going on. Got lift station 19 has started, although it kind of didn't start the way we anticipated it with an emergency call out one night, but at any rate, that project is underway as well.
Very good.
Yep, all right.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, our next order of business is the public hearing on the Okra sanitary sewer grant. I would entertain a motion to suspend our regular meeting and open the public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, so we are now ready for our public hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Amy Miller. I am with Cornerstone Grants Management. I am assisting the City of Lawrence with preparing a grant application that's going to be submitted to the Office of Community Rural Affairs for a sewer project that you guys are going to try to undertake, what we call the Elmhurst Lift Station project. The application is going to be submitted to due on June 28th. And if we are successful in getting the grant, they should make announcements on August 14th or 15th, I believe. The state has 2 different funding cycles per year. This is what we consider round 1. If we are not successful in round 1, the state will meet with us, let us know where we kind of fell short with the application, where we could make things stronger, and you can submit in round 2 later in the year. Sometimes it takes a community 2 or 3 times sometimes to get a successful project funded. These are very, very competitive funds. They are federal funds. It's appropriated by HUD, Housing and Urban Development. Comes from Washington to the state of Indiana, and then disperses those funds to low to moderate income communities. And the area that we are, have our project, it has been deemed low to moderate income by HUD. I think that number comes out to be 59.26%. The residents in that area are deemed low to moderate income. And in order to qualify for these dollars, you have to be at least 51%. So with that, it's a requirement of the program to have these hearings. We had one back in May or April, I believe, April. So this is our second public hearing, just as a requirement of the program. I'm going to turn it over to Karen and she can kind of explain more detail of what our project consists of.
Thanks, Amy. My name is Karen Saavedra. I'm with American Structure Point, helping the City of Lawrence with their grant for this project. I know I've presented this information before to you all at the end of April, but for anyone watching or who hasn't seen this before, we're going to just kind of go over it again, kind of what the project is about. So, as Amy mentioned, so this grant that we're pursuing, the grant funding that we would receive if we're successful is $700,000. And then Lawrence is looking to commit $500,000 for a total project cost of $1.2 million. The project area is kind of on your southwest boundary of your city limits, near Shadeland and 46th Street. In the center of that circle is that Elmhurst lift station. So these are all the sewers that flow into that lift station. That's why we call it the Elmhurst Lift Station Basin that we're looking to work in. So what we've done, what the city has done is they own a closed circuit televising truck that has this robotic camera that they can launch down and we can see inside the sewers. And we've looked at all the sewers in this project area to look at their condition and see what defects we find and other problems that we would like to address. Some of the defects that we see, things like leaking where the pipes bead up with a manhole. So that's here what we're calling a pipe seal leak. And then we see other kind of joint separations or roots that have intruded in, things that allow water to enter the sewer. So this could be either groundwater or rainwater, but what happens is then we have this extra clean water in the sewers that then the city has to essentially pay to send to citizens. And so it's kind of extra wastewater that's not really supposed to be in the sewer. So these are just kind of, again, some images of things we've seen in the sewers. You know, again, with the water kind of can be gushing in or trickling in. But again, all that clear water we do not want to see in the sewer. There can also be grease buildup. So this comes from people, you know, washing things out in their sink or dumping grease down their sink. And that kind of hardens when it cools and then can block the sewer and cause issues. And then more serious things that we see are things like where people put in a new development or a new home or something and they don't go through the proper channels and they kind of dig up the sewer and just tap in their own lateral. And that can cause a lot of breakage around that location, which then allows kind of soil and water to come into the sewer. And then just over time, depending on the conditions, we can see fractures and cracks in the sewer. And so that impacts the structural ability of the pipe. And so what happens if these continue to be left in the ground like this, you could see a collapse or something like that. And then above ground, what we see is a sinkhole and that sort of thing. So again, just more images showing, gravel or other things can get into the sewer that takes up capacity in the pipe. This is a more serious thing like a pipe failure where it's sort of imminently something's going to happen, it's going to collapse, and then we'll see major effects above ground and kind of what that really looks like. And we did not see anything this extreme in terms of pipe failure because you would have already seen something above ground if this happened in this area, but we did see lots of that infiltration of clear water and the cracks and fractures. Here's just showing a sag where the pipe maybe wasn't installed correctly or over time has settled. Different segments of it have settled differently, and so now instead of a nice continuous downward the wastewater, we've got some sags in the pipe, and so those are things we'd like to address. So these issues and what is the city looking to do for their project. They're looking to rehabilitate the sewers. Ideally, we'd like to do everything trenchless, so not dig up the road, but if we do need to dig up portions of the sewer, this is kind of what you would see above ground. The picture on the left is a bypass setup, so we have to take the wastewater out of the sewers and still get it downstream while we work in the sewer pipe, and then if we need to dig up, you'll see obviously a more exposed trench like this. What we'd like to do is a process called cured in place pipe, where we invert a felt liner that's injected with resin, and we kind of unfold it like taking off a sock out into the sewer. We kind of expand it against that sewer pipe using steam or hot water. And then as it hardens, that resin hardens, it becomes as strong as a new pipe, and it's kind of within that existing pipe. So we rehabilitate the sewers that way. So that eliminates that clear water coming in and also makes it more structurally sound. So now we don't have to worry about a pipe collapsing. So this figure, I'm showing the segments that we've denoted to be rehabilitated using that trenchless method, so not having to dig. So those are the pipes in red. So a majority of this area really needed work done. And the other pipes in blue are actually pipes that have already been rehabilitated. So really this whole area will be sealed up and maintained in terms of its longevity for the city. We will line the sewers, and the city owns laterals to the right-of-way. So we will also line laterals to the right-of-way. And again, why is this important? Sometimes pipes, are underground, they're out of sight, out of mind. By maintaining your infrastructure, you can eliminate what we call sanitary sewer overflows. That's the acronym there, SSO. That's because of these blockages or other issues that water can back up in the pipes, or that clear water coming in and taking up capacity that's needed for wastewater. Flow can then overflow and come out of manholes, and that's definitely a health hazard and something that the city would like to avoid or remedy. And then we also, why we fix them is to reduce the city's cost to treat sewage. As I mentioned, you do have to send your wastewater to Citizens Energy Group, and that does have a cost. So the less water that you have to send is a savings to the city. And then a big reason is to protect your infrastructure. It's a very critical thing for public health, and if we don't maintain it, can really lead to big issues. So I'll open up for questions. I recall that there was a question after the April meeting about, well, what is that potential cost savings that we could see if we really try to reduce that clear water that's in the pipes that we're sending to citizens. Scott has pulled together some data that really just shows what total gallons we send to citizens versus what we bill our customers. And so that difference is really that clear water, that rainwater and groundwater that we are sending to citizens and having to pay, but we're not recouping any, money for that. So that difference, we looked at kind of that difference in gallons, and then kind of what that could cost. For the whole city, that's kind of what we looked at, was on average in the past 5 years, it's over $600,000. That different, that we're paying for that additional water that we want to really try and eliminate and keep out of the sewer. We really want only wastewater to be in the sewer. So, anything we can do in keeping that clear water out, especially like in this area, it has a trickle-down effect. It's less water that we're sending then to downstream lift stations, so less water we have to pump, so that's energy costs, savings. So it just really benefits all aspects of the wastewater system in the city to do this project. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, I might add too that, it's not just the cost to treat that rainwater that we pay, but, we also pay to pump that water.
Right.
That's electrical cost. And then, the more you pump through a pump, the shorter your interval between, reaching OMPM and capital cost to replace those pumps. They wear out quicker. There's other costs involved other than just the treatment.
Well, I just want to be sure that I understand the process.
Yeah.
It seemed like there were two things that was done. You had cameras to inspect the sewers. They found problems, and the problems are going to be repaired using the Okra monies.
Correct.
So that was, so those cameras inspecting our sewers was Or is that a one-time cost? Is that what we're talking about here?
You know, and maybe you can chime in too, but
I'm just trying to understand the
yeah, the city owns the camera.
Okay,
And the city is televising around around town all the time, continuously. So it's just part of routine maintenance to see what you have and make sure that things haven't changed. So usually, you know, they're trying to look at every pipe in their system every 5 years at least, maybe other hot spots more frequently. So they just made sure to televise this area earlier this year so that we're using really current data to come up with our construction for our project. The other part of your question is, you know, is this a one-time cost? So yes, if we go in and rehabilitate these sewers with this method, the studies show at least 50 years, but likely more, almost, I mean, 100. It hasn't been tested.
Okay.
You know, the longest pipe that's been in the ground that's been rehabilitated with this method is at 48 years right now, and it still looks great. So it's a technology we feel really comfortable with that's going to give you a long-term solution.
okay. I guess the other part of it, and I think I understand it, is one of the requirements for the Okra money was that it be for medium and low income. So that's how you went about selecting
The
the
area.
area that you.
Correct.
Okay,
This is this area has older sewers in the system, and then, you know, the community around it fits that kind of profile. I don't know if you want to speak any more about how you selected the area for the.
It's basically just based on the prioritization of defects. And, you know, we have a wealth of information on our sewer system that we've been collecting since 2010. When we started the SSES, it might actually have been '09. And so that's the basis for where we're prioritizing. So essentially, I mean, when we're talking, our program to address those issues with the old and defective sewers, it's for the time being, is basically everything west of Post Road.
okay.
You said west of Post Road.
Yeah, and the city did a project just like this 7 years ago, also using Okra money, just a little bit east of this area. So, you know, we have been targeting this area specifically because of the priority of the sewers.
Just a real quick question, Ms. Miller. You said the grant requirement is 51%, and this particular designation is already at 52%, correct?
It's at 59%.
59.
We actually did an income survey last year, and that income survey, we did a mailing and went door to door and such, and it actually came out where it showed you were 68%.
Okay,
But as of June 1st, the state came out with new rules and regulations that we have to follow for trying to qualify for these dollars. And if you there's a certain website we have to get it onto for HUD, and you type in your service area, and it goes down to actually like census tract blocks and group blocks, and you can actually pinpoint a certain area, and it'll tell you this area is whatever percentage of low to moderate income. That area automatically qualifies now. And so the state says you have to use that instead of your income survey. So,
Is that HUD you said? Because it sounds a lot like Savvy. You said that's a HUD program?
yes, this is a HUD program, Housing and Urban Development. It's Community Development Block Grant Funds, CDBG funds.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So, some of those areas we saw on the slides where there's actually been a collapse, there's debris in the sewer line. Those will have to be excavated, I suppose, or what?
Yeah, none of the segments in this area are collapsed. I wanted to show kind of what our typical defects we can see, and then the types of, you know, how we address that, how we fix that. In this area, primarily more the infiltration, kind of leaks, cracks, laterals that were kind of broken in and have left some kind of pieces and stuff. So it's all work that we can do trenchlessly, so we don't necessarily need to be doing any digging. It's all in the right-of-way There's no easements required or anything like that, so.
Very good.
Steve, to go a little farther, most of the debris, like you saw the stuff built up in the flow line, generally, we get that out with our routine cleaning program.
Okay.
The
Flushing.
little silt and gravel that builds up in there, that and the odd piece of clay tile pipe and grease, which you read my latest lift, we're still having issues with. So, but yeah, generally your routine cleaning will get that out of there. But unfortunately, cleaning doesn't fix defects, and defects is what we need to fix.
All right.
Another question. Do we know of a city similar to Lawrence in size or demographics that has successfully had the resin procedure, if you will, process? I know we have one pipe that's resin that's 48 years old, but do we know of a similar city that has been through this process?
Use the cured-in-place pipe to rehabilitate their sewers. Well, as I mentioned, in the city, you've been doing this for
7 or 9
over,
years?
Yeah, our
At
first
least 10.
project started in 2011 or 2012.
So you have this pipe already out in your system. As for other communities, we're working with City of South Bend, City of Gary, Indiana, Rockville, which is a little smaller than you are. Indianapolis uses this, so Citizens Energy Group. So every community that we work with
Lisa here.
uses this method to rehabilitate their sewers. So there's lots of kind of case studies and other communities doing it. City of Carmel, yeah, so.
And this method is being used by private homeowners when they have to repair their laterals, is that right?
It can be, yes. You can, I have seen private companies that, an individual homeowner could hire that does the same process. Yes, yeah.
Any further? Well, we call for public comments. Is there any comments from public at this time? Well, if not, then I believe we've covered everything we need to cover. Is that correct? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we close the public hearing and open our meeting again.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. So we are back to our regular agenda. Thank you very much for coming and making that presentation. Unfinished business. I don't believe we have any unfinished business at this time. Under new business, item number 1, I would entertain a motion for approval of SRF disbursement request form 72 from Wessler Engineering for $10,407.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion regarding that matter? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. That is approved. Item number 2 under new business, approval of SRF disbursement request form 73 from Graves Plumbing Company, Inc. in the amount of $235,103. I would entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion regarding that matter? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. That is approved. Item number 3, approval of SRF disbursement request form 74 from Glenroy Construction Company, Inc., in the amount of $179,461. Entertain a motion for that to be approved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those nay. That is approved. Item number 4, approval of resolution number 2019-01, authorizing the submittal of the WDW application to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs and addressing related matters. Entertain a motion that we approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any discussion regarding that matter? You're all familiar with the resolution that was prepared. There's no discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That is approved. Account adjustments. 4251 Inglewood Drive, requesting a sanitary sewer adjustment, $270.81 due to a service line leak. We also have 6941 East 49th Street, requesting a sanitary sewer adjustment, $1,532.11 due to busted pipes under the house. Entertain a motion that we approve those two adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything out of the ordinary?
No, we recommend approval.
How do you get a $1,500 sewer bill? What was the water bill?
I don't bring the water costs. It was very large.
I guess so.
Any questions? Any questions? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Those are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Demonstration of ratepayer dispute regarding disconnect notice. I don't believe we have any for this evening. Citizen comments. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are hereby adjourned.